Welcome to Rail Fans Canada and RailChat number 12. I'm Shane Sege, and joining me today is Duncan Ray. Hey, Duncan, how are you?
Hey, pretty good. How are you, Shane?
Not too bad. And just to let people know, David Bellarive will be joining us a little later on. So today we're going to be talking about the experience of visiting the REM in Montreal. As you all probably know, the newest branch going to Deux-Montagnes opened officially this Monday, but unofficially also had a preview weekend last Saturday and Sunday, and then they had some 100 riders on the Friday. So it's kind of hard to say it actually opened on the Monday, but I mean, we were there nonetheless because that's how it was pitched, and we were there on the first train, 5:30 a.m. in Brossard. How was that, Duncan, for you?
Oh, that was an early train. Oh my God. I just made it. I woke up at 5 a.m. to meet you guys at Gare Centrale, and that was quite the trip to get there. But it was absolutely worth it because, yeah, as we both know, the REM is pretty awesome.
Well, I mean, the REM being, automated, the platform screen doors are really interesting. The design of the stations are very unique.
Yep.
And very it's enclosed, right? So I mean, it's warm in the winter and it's cool in the summer. And just the experience on the trains, right? Like having the front window or the back window, and you can just see straight out without any obstructions. It's truly something special.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love the platform screen doors. That I believe should be standard everywhere in Canada on transit lines. But the REM really shows what should be done, what can be done everywhere. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, if I should introduce myself, hi. If you don't know who I am, my name is Duncan Ray. I am a special projects advisor for a councillor at the City of Ottawa, and a self-proclaimed transit enthusiast. So, hi.
Thanks for joining us, Duncan. So let's reflect back on this past Monday. It feels like so long ago at this point, but it was just a few days ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me and for some others there, we all came down, and yourself, we all came down from Ottawa.
Yep.
Pretty wild to think that that's something that people do, but that's something that we do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's so close. I mean, but there's also people there from DC, from other cities across, Canada. It's great to see.
So we started off at 5:30 at Brossard. We rode the train all the way out to Deux-Montagnes. Riding the existing part from Brossard to Gare Centrale, it crosses the Champlain Bridge. It has like that familiarity because it's been open now for a little over 2 years, right?
Yep.
And it just builds the excitement, because you're getting to the point where it's new territory, right? Totally new experience. Going from Gare Centrale to McGill, how it switches through the tracks, through underneath that station to reach the Mount Royal Tunnel, to get to McGill, then to really hit the high speed all the way to Edouard Montpetit, and then come out at Kenora at the other end. It's truly something special. What was your experience like in the tunnel?
Oh, it was wild. Absolutely loved it. It's so interesting because you can see, as you're going across the Champlain Bridge, you can see that you speed up to like the speed and pass the cars a bit, and that's great to see. But you don't really get a sense for the true speed until you're in that tunnel, right? As soon as you enter it, and you just see the rocks flying past you, it is such a cool experience. And I'm so glad they chose that alignment to go right through the tunnel, because there's nothing like it, honestly.
And it's super smooth. It's super quiet.
Oh, yeah.
You don't really feel like it's something of its own, right? How smooth and quiet it is. The experience is really second to none. I'm not a big fan of the hard plastic seats. I know that that's better for cleaning and for upkeep and all that, but I guess when we look at Ottawa and we see the O train, the padded seats do help enhance the experience a bit, even though they do come across a bit more dirty over time.
Yeah. Fun fact, I actually didn't know this until recently, but the pattern for the seats in Ottawa is actually based on the original Deutschbahn trains that we procured for the 2001 O train, and the sort of blue with the dark blue squares, and we just kept it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I like the upholstery on our seats. But I get it. You need to, in a city as big as Montreal, you need to streamline things as well as you can.
Mm-hmm. So, uh, you know, talk briefly there. Gare Centrale already existed. That's always an impressive station in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
McGill's really interesting how it finds itself perpendicular to the McGill Metro station on the Green Line.
Yeah.
And how it's actually very interesting when you cross between the Place Montreal Trust building and the Montreal Eaton Center. Was this like this corridor before?
Mm-hmm.
1 or 2 floors below street level, and I think there was 1 or 2 little shops or tabagie or convenience stores or whatever. But you would cross through there. Now it's changed drastically.
Oh yeah.
There's a train station entrance with fare gates right in there. It feels very different.
Oh,
It's
for
like the
sure.
train station comes right into the mall. It's even more so than the metro and the Green Line. So how did you find that came across? It feels kind of weird actually when you see it.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I think the accessing the REM from the Eden Center is pretty easy. But I will say on that little that first trip that I was rushing through at 5 a.m. to get from where I was near Lino Gru to McGill, the wayfinding to get from the Green Line station to the REM station was a bit lacking. You have to have maybe my eyesight's going, but there's some really small little wayfinding points to get to the REM. But as soon as you get into the mall, you kind of it's a bit obvious. So I thought that was interesting, but yeah, it's still easy to find. If you're say outside or whatnot, then that's easy.
And I mean, the connection between both there is pretty straightforward. It's unfortunate that Gare Centrale is more convoluted to get from the metro to the REM, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because as soon as you get out of your train at Gare Centrale, then you pretty much have the REM right there inside the entrance to the REM right inside the main, what is it, concourse area. But then you have to sort of go a bit further to find the blue line, or sorry, the orange line entrance. So it's a bit further away, and I'm really glad. I mean, it kind of makes sense with how they set up the REM, but it makes a lot of sense where the tracks are for the REM and how you can just get right down into it.
Mm-hmm. And then moving on after McGill, there's of course Edouard Montpetit, which is the second deepest station in North America and the deepest station in Canada. And it really feels deep, right? It's 72 meters below ground. And you take those high-speed elevators, they take 15 seconds to go down the equivalent of 20-story building.
Yep.
They have the light effect on the side there. I was really taken by the lights. I found the lights are really neat. It's a nice touch. And you feel like the wind, like the air pressure when you get into the elevator, like when you cross the threshold of the doors, you feel like the air gushing through, right? I guess the piston effect from the elevators going up and down. It's really neat to feel that, to feel the speed of the elevators going down and going up, and it has a sound. You can feel and hear the speed that it's going, and really just, well, I don't know if that's really a good thing, but sometimes your ears plug, sometimes your ears pop.
Yeah, yeah, really.
It's impressive though. No sooner do you get in, it starts accelerating, and pretty much as soon as it, I guess, hits its maximum speed, it's already decelerating to a stop.
Yeah,
Like
pretty much.
you never get up to cruising speed for long. Like it builds up and then it's already slowing down again. Like the trip is very quick, very smooth. It's
Yeah, I've never been on one of those high-speed elevators before, but it was so cool to go on. I'd just go back to Edouard Montpetit if I was going around the city just to take those elevators up and down. It's so cool because you're going around 20 stories, but it only feels like in time-wise, it feels like you're only going up like maybe you're 3 stories or something in a regular elevator, but you're just going the full length of a building. It's so cool to see.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like you don't feel very interested in running a hydraulic elevator after that.
Yeah, really. It's just not the same.
So we have Saint Nick in the channel here. He says at the bottom of that elevator, I felt 2 times heavier.
Yeah.
It moves pretty quick.
Yeah.
So then and really that station also is very neat because it has exposed rock sections
Yes.
from the Mount Royal tunnel.
Mhm.
I'm really interested in how they actually pulled that off. I'm wondering if they took rock and they put it back, or if that actually is rock coming through. Because if you built the building around it, there could be water infiltration, right? So
That's
unless
true.
they
Eh?
had like some really like the way it's put into it, it's sort
Yeah.
of like it's framed in there, right? There's like a
Yeah.
black border, there's LED lights, there's
Yeah.
like a silver trim and concrete around it.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
wondering how they sealed that, or if they did something to
Oh.
create the illusion.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, it must have been sealed, but I'm not sure how. I mean, as we were feeling it, you can feel it. It is just pure rock. But we could also see the anchor bolts.
Mhm.
Is that the right word? Going right into the sides, so it looks like it's just completely open, just raw rock face inside the station, which is really cool. But yeah, they must have sealed it somehow. Hopefully.
Yeah. But I find that really gives a really interesting touch to the station. You come down, you go down one level, you take those elevators to go down to the bottom, um, and you come out into this concourse area, the fare gates, right? The
Right.
ticket vending machines. You see these exposed rock sections.
Hmm.
You keep walking. There's more elevators and escalators and stairs to go down to the platforms underneath. And even that uh, height difference is not unsubstantial, right?
No.
Like when you go to like McGill, let's say, from the concourse to the platforms or even the metro station, like you're talking maybe like one story, right? Like this
Mhm.
actually felt like another three or so stories going down. Like there was a significant height difference. So like it just continues and continues, right? And
Yeah.
you get down there, you see more exposed rock, you see the beautiful murals on the walls by uh I can't think of the name there, but the artist that created those beautiful stone murals
Right.
on the walls there. And
Trying to see if I have a picture of it.
Yeah, but it's stunning and beautiful. The whole thing was just.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think we have. No, I don't. I got a lot of videos of the elevator though. I rode that a lot. Luckily, I wasn't one of the people that was on it that got stuck.
Oh really? There was?
Yeah, yeah. There was it was in the news. Some people got stuck on the first day for an hour and a half.
Really? Oh my
Yeah,
god. Hopefully they fixed that by now. Oh my god.
yeah.
Oh
Which I
no, I
was on
can't find it.
CBC News that some people got stuck, and then apparently there was a second incident where the elevator was stuck for about a minute, and
Okay.
apparently the elevator technician was already on site.
Oh,
And
it's
there's a video
convenient.
clip that somebody took, and he's like resetting with his phone the elevator.
So in the end, it took the same amount of time as a regular elevator.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Oh,
mean
that's lucky.
that's interesting. And then once you leave the tunnel and you start going towards Deux-Montagnes, crossing through the old EXO alignment. Um, ironically, I didn't actually really get to experience many of those stations. I
Yeah.
kind of I kind of stuck around downtown because I found that really interesting, and I was taking
Yeah.
some videos. But from touring it back in April when I did the snapshot video, the Ville de Montreal tunnel or station
Right.
with the pizzeria right next to it. That
Right.
one has a really interesting look, right? Like the plaza area in front,
Yeah, I love that.
just the greenish glass curtain walls on the side of the station, how it extends out. It's truly something.
Oh
Was there a
yeah.
station that really stood out for you beyond the ones downtown?
Hmm. Trying to think. I'm just going through the Railfans map here, just looking at all the stations. I mean, I didn't get off at every station. I will say that I got off at Deux-Montagnes. I got off at Montreal, Kenora, Edouard Montpetit. I mean, out of any of them, honestly, Edouard Montpetit was by far the coolest, because especially as you get past, like sort of northwest of Montreal, they start to be just a lot more of the same station. Over and over. But it's really interesting looking at how the stations are placed in the surrounding context. I would have to say, Deux-Montagnes, just because how they designed that terminus station is I believe really well done. How the buses come in, how you have the cycling the bike shelters there that are 3-4 times the size as the ones we have in Ottawa, right? And they have the Netherlands style racks with the sliding doors as well to open it. I mean, it might even be heated. I'm not sure. So that was really cool to see. Definitely took pictures of that. So I think probably Deux-Montagnes. In your opinion, do you think Deux-Montagnes is a better design station than Limebank in Ottawa?
It actually kind of feels similar, right? Because it's elevated.
Yeah.
Obviously, notwithstanding the differences of it being fully enclosed and climate controlled in the sense with the platform screen doors, it's very similar, right? Like I was actually when I was walking through it, I half expected that there was going to be a washroom on the lower level.
Yeah, really.
And I felt like I saw one somewhere, but apparently there's none. So
yeah, I wanted to point that out. That's one of the things I don't like about the REM system so far. That there's no washrooms in any of the stations. I mean, besides Gare Centrale, right? But that's something that honestly, going forward, I know it adds cost, but I think it's important to have those sort of like micro amenities, at these types of stations. So yeah, that's one thing I wanted to point out. I had on my list.
No, it's interesting because like here in Ottawa, we have quite a few stations. We have Blair, Herdman. I think Herdman. So. Yeah, I think it does. Has some washrooms.
That's actually a good question. Yeah.
Bayview and Tunney's Pasture.
Mm.
And then there's going to be some others, right, with stage 2. And then on line 2, Bayview and Limebank, I guess.
I'm just checking to see if it is there, but if not, this would be a great addition to the Railfans map, is to add like this station has a washroom, this station has blank. Yeah, because I don't know if Herdman has one, but I know that Bayview does. I mean, if it's working, and then Tunney's, yeah, and Limebank, yeah.
But yeah, like you were saying there, it is very similar because the station is elevated. The bus service is one level down.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, it did feel really familiar to me. Like when I was going through it, it had that feel of Limebank, or at least of one of the Ottawa stations, right? Because of being elevated, having the stuff underneath. The layout was actually very similar.
Yeah.
To be quite honest.
Yeah, I'm trying to compare them side by side on Google Earth up here. Let's see, there's Saint Eustache. Yeah, pretty similar. Huh.
So I guess beyond that, I mean, the other stations along the alignment, you have like Il Bigra.
Right.
That's a bit of an interesting one too. It actually has a bit of a park and ride next to the station. It did.
Oh yeah. There
I'm
it
not
is.
Exactly sure how many. I'm not exactly sure how many parking spots there are, but it's a little interesting because you have a station where, I guess, on an island where there's probably maybe like 200-300 people living on it, but I guess the people nearby, just across, would probably drive over there and leave.
I guess so. Yeah, I was just about to say, I wonder what the catchment area for it is. It looks like it has around 30 regular parking spaces and 5 accessibility, just off of Google Maps here. But you'd think that it's kind of interesting why they'd even put that there when you could be, making Il Bigra as something a little bit more, self-serving, a bit more, walkable, and you maybe put some amenities there, like some coffee shops, make it into a little town center, especially when you have the park and ride at the next station, St. Dorothy, right after. Huh. Oh yeah, 2 park and rides.
But it's an interesting station nonetheless,
Oh, for sure.
I mean, they're all really interesting. What's very, I guess it doesn't help wayfinding. They all have a very similar look, right?
Yeah.
Either station has a center platform,
yep,
or it has a side platform. I think there's more. Well, it's kind of hard to say, but it might be actually fairly close to half and half, let's say. but there's no signage, right? So like, let's say you're in Montreal on
Mhm.
the metro or in Ottawa on the O train, right? You'll see
Right.
signage like along the platforms of the
Yes.
name of the station, right?
Yep.
Now I know in the REM that's the case too, but you can't see it when you're in the train, right?
No.
So the announcements aren't working, or you don't see the display. They all
Right.
kind of look the
Yeah.
same,
Like,
right?
where am I? I could be at any
Yeah.
one of these 5 stations.
Like it's when I was doing, like I did the videos there for the end-to-end trip that I put on YouTube.
Mm.
And one of the videos, there was no announcements, right? There was a problem on the train and there wasn't making any announcements, the second video.
Right.
And so when I'm editing, I'm putting like the little titles at the bottom, like, I think this, like I had to rewind and kind of just, oh yeah, that's because I wasn't sure, right? Because like
Mhm.
even looking at that and looking in between the track, there's like these little signal posts, like signage. It'll
Right.
say,
Yes.
like with like a 3-letter abbreviation, right? Some of them
Right.
don't even have one of those, or at least not in both directions, let's say. So it's like I'm looking at the video, I'm like, I'm actually not, like I had to play a little bit just to double check to
Mm.
make sure I was looking at the right one, or I had the right one, or I
I,
had to
I
skip one or something.
I suppose that CDPQ, they think that the announcements and maybe the onboard displays at the top showing the next station or what station you're currently at is good enough. But I don't know. I'm usually one for sort of like redundancy. So you'd think just having the station right in the wall there, just the name means that if anything goes down, you can just see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's interesting that you pointed it out. I didn't really even realize until, but yeah, that does not make a lot of sense.
So Alain Boyer just chimed in on the chat. So in relation to what we were just talking about with Il Bigra and the park and ride, he says, indeed, some people from Saint Dorothée do drive or walk to Il Bigra.
Really? Okay.
So there you go. Again,
Interesting.
it's an interesting island in itself because there's just one little road bridge to get onto that island.
Yeah.
And then the other alternative is the REM at this point. So, or I guess
Do
if you were to
we?
boat or kayak.
Oh yeah, because it doesn't look like the REM bridge is also a combined pedestrian bridge. It just looks like it's, or is it on maybe the south side? No, I don't think so.
No.
Interesting. Huh. So they have one vehicular and pedestrian uh, bridge going into it. Interesting. Wow. I wonder why people would drive it to Ile Bicra when Saint Dorothée is right there. I'm not sure. Do some studies on that.
We'll look forward to your papers on the subject.
Oh, absolutely. I'll get to work.
So, I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, it really sets the bar high, right? A lot of people, we posted the videos, we've seen a lot of the commentary online. A lot of people are saying this is really sets the standard high as to what can be done
Yep.
with the system.
Absolutely.
Sure, there are little nitpicks that anybody could comment about.
Always will be.
Just, like there's no, the elevator redundancy there is really lacking, especially at Gare Centrale. There's one elevator.
Mhm.
It's practically the busiest station
Yeah.
in the whole system, and it's
Yeah,
going up
that's
many
true.
times. It's a little ridiculous, but the platform screen doors work well. The automation works well.
Yep.
And just the view out of the train is really stunning. The trains are smooth, they're quiet, they're fast.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, they're absolutely great. I think I really agree with you when you say it sets the standard, and it's really interesting to see um, the sort of base how do you say it, the conditions that allowed for the REM to be created, not just with CDPQ, but also just with the geography that it uses. And I think with the REM, it used a lot of old freight right of way, right? To do all the extensions, and there is so much of that in Canada, in so many cities all over Canada, that it kind of creates the sense that you could do a REM in a lot of cities across this country. And we know that with a comparison between line 1 and line 2 in Ottawa, that rail rehabilitation is so much less expensive, that it could be a real way for a lot of cities in Canada to get really great rapid transit. So it's really inspiring, promising. It's great to see.
No, exactly. I mean, there's we have a lot of discussions on the Railfans Discord about opportunities of expanding O-train service here, or even having a commuter service. A lot of people talk about the Moose proposal.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
yep.
I'm not sure that's ever going to happen, but
Yeah.
as the city does continue to expand out,
Hmm.
because there seems to be a big interest in expanding out rather than filling in between.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
there'll probably be some need at some point to investigate much more seriously these opportunities to use these rail right of ways and to build, high level transit
Oh, absolutely.
that can bring people from these outskirts into the city without having to make 20,000 stops along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if all of the cities in Canada stop expanding, we've already expanded to a point where we need rapid transit to get people throughout the metropolitan areas. And I mean, just looking at Ottawa being able to connect Canada, Gatineau, Barrhaven, and Orleans all together throughout the middle of the city, that would be a game changer for transit, creating all of those spine routes and being able to do that in cities like Winnipeg, Edmonton, Quebec City, anywhere. I mean, it can really change the game in terms of uh, how people see transit and if they see it as an actual contender versus using a car to get around. And I think that's definitely needed going forward as we urbanize more and more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, like we look at, for example, in Ottawa or in Montreal, the highways are at capacity.
Yep.
Even if you were to add, and Doug Ford is just build another
Oh
lane,
no.
or
Yeah.
let's build a tunnel underneath the 401, right, and have
Yeah.
another. I don't know how many lanes. I don't think it even matters what he's saying
Yeah.
about how many lanes,
Yeah.
because
Really.
where's this traffic going to go? It still has to come off on arterial roads or other
Yep.
roads,
Yep.
and unless you start expanding those roads, I mean, then you're adding more capacity in the highway just to park more cars.
Exactly. Yeah. You only have so much room on the existing roads in a downtown area. That yeah, there's only so much room, right? You can't fit more cars into an existing area that you can't expand, or else you have to start tearing down buildings, right? And so at that point, you need to think about space efficiency, and I mean, solutions like the REM do that in spades, right? And I actually wonder. That brings me to a good question: is are these stations as part of the Deux-Montagnes extension? Are they able to be extended easily in the future for, say, a 3-car, 4-car setup instead of the current 2-car? Because as we're seeing, even on opening day, the ridership was incredible to see. As we hit that 7, 8 a.m. morning rush, it was packed. And so you start to wonder, is it already at capacity? And if so, then you might need to add some cars to each train. So it's it's almost like it's already suffering from its own success, even though it's only been open for about a week and a half. But that's not a bad thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what they would do probably is to expand the headways of the trains
Oh yeah, makes sense.
or
Yeah.
the frequency, because it can go down to every 90 seconds. Once we do have the Ansalom branch and the airport branch open,
Hmm.
um, I think they're saying that there's going to be a train every 2.5 minutes
Okay.
through the core section, right? So from,
Great.
I guess, Brassard all the way to Bois-Franc, where
Okay.
everything starts to diverge, you would probably see a train every 2.5 or so minutes.
Really? Okay.
And it could go down to 90 seconds.
Right. Yeah. If you have that headway, so we
Yeah.
know that it will have a service going from Brassard to Deux-Montagnes and Brassard to Anzalorme. So you have a interlining between Bois-Franc and Brassard.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, good to know. I thought with the way the maps looked, it looked like you would just have a spur line going from Bois-Franc to Anzalorme, but it's good to see that they're going to be doing some interlining, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Really increase those headways in the main sections. Good to hear.
Because I think what they're saying right now is once all three are open, you're going to see, I think some of the routes, they're going to be every 15 minutes in the off peak,
Interesting.
10
Okay.
or 10 or 15 minutes. So by having the three routes in the core section there, it's going to be every 5 minutes,
Interesting. Right.
right?
Same
And
thing for
then,
the airport branch.
yeah,
Okay. Interesting. Huh.
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, the only downside with the airport branch is it's only two stations, Marie Curie, which is like an industrial tech park area, and then the
Right.
airport, right?
Right.
And there was a lot of interest from the people in Dorval to have, the tunneling, tunnel boring machine was already there. To
Yeah.
have extended it farther down just to reach
Dorval Station.
Dorval Station, to have a connection through there, right? Because again, you have that broken link.
Yep.
And you have
it's
a broken
so close.
link. Yeah, and you have a broken link between Côte Vertu on the orange line to Bois-Franc, right? So people that want to take the REM, they're on the west side of downtown. Let's say
Yep.
they're near one of those stations. They would either have to get a train, a metro train to Côte Vertu, take a bus to Bois-Franc, and then catch the REM, right? Which I don't think many people are going to do.
No.
Or you can take the metro down to Gare Centrale, or I suppose to Snowden, and then take the orange line to Edouard Montpetit. I mean, it's not simple, right? It should be more simple than that. And
you have to think of it from a network perspective.
Yeah, the irony is that they actually built a new metro garage just north of Côte Vertu.
Right.
So in a sense, maybe let's say 1/3 to 1/2 the tunnel, let's say, is already there in a sense.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't take much, but that would, to me, would be a priority to try and bring that little bit more out to there. I know there's plans to make a bit of a loop, or at least like an X.
Sure, and you can do that
up in Laval near the Carrefour, but
just bridge those missing links that can really complete the network for so many people. And even at Anza-Lorme, getting it, I mean, being able to, I don't know if they have plans to expand it past Anza-Lorme, but just to have it dip southwards to reach Baie d'Orphée, I mean, that would have been a great little connection with a rail station right there, right? And so people that live in, say, Kirkland, they'd be able to just easily get off at Baie d'Orphée and then take 2 stops on the REM instead of having to go all the way to Dorval and then walk 20 minutes to that, and go all the way back. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then the other one, well, talking about Ansa-Lorme there, there has been interest in extending it towards Vaudreuil. So crossing the bridge, right? Because right now they have the Highway 40 bridge,
right,
is under serious. It's not in great shape, let's say, right?
It is not.
There's lane closures. It's not looking super hot, and they're building a new one next to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, all that aside, it would be great to have that crossover to the other side, because then you alleviate a lot of traffic on that choke point to get to the island, right?
So are you saying to build a new bridge for cars that they are right now, and then instead just rehabilitate the existing bridge to use as REM tracks?
Well, I'm not really suggesting anything, but
okay.
I'm just saying that there's nothing that's planned to extend it further. If you actually look closely at the Ansa-Lorme station,
yes,
there's a little small maintenance garage right behind it.
Right.
And the way it's lined up, like the tracks would actually have to be redone to deviate around this thing.
Interesting. Yeah. I wonder why they did that, really.
Yeah. Like there's no interest, it seems, officially to extend it farther, but it would make sense to extend it farther. And there's been discussions, well, they're building a new bridge over the river. Why not have the possibility for the train? No, we're not building it for the train.
Yeah, I mean, they did that with the Champlain Bridge. Sorry. They did that with the Champlain Bridge, right?
Yeah.
Where they had the REM going right down the middle of it. So you could do that again. I mean, easier said than done, but still. It's good planning.
No, but yeah, like the old bridge is probably going to come down. The new bridge should have been built with some possibility in mind.
Yeah.
But, it's hard to say what would make most sense to expand on the REM next.
Right.
But it's hard to have the discussion and think about it seriously, because CDPQ infra is like, we don't envision any more expansion to this system once it's done.
Interesting.
So it's hard to know exactly what in that context would actually be feasible or realistic to even expect them to do, when they're pretty much flat out saying that they don't see any opportunity to, or they have any interest to do any more with it.
Which is honestly surprising to me with the success that they're seeing with it. I mean, why wouldn't you want to expand it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can see them wanting to run a bit more of a tight ship and just having a closed system that works well. But still, I mean, the planner in me can't help but think of all the different expansions that you can do. I mean, you could even expand Deux-Montagnes. You can have it go down that old rail right of way and go all the way to Gatineau if you wanted to. So, I mean, maybe a bit unrealistic, but it's possible.
I mean, I know for myself, I'm kind of going off topic here, but I mean, we both live in Ottawa, Gatineau, right?
Yeah.
And coming from this area to Montreal, if you drive through the city, it can be very slow. I mean, sometimes you feel like you're at risk of having an accident because it's the way people drive so aggressively on those roads, and the way that the highways just kind of go like this. Like, I mean, you have highway exits on the 40 to go downtown to the 15, the highway 15, where you exit on the left side of the highway. It's not even on the right. Like,
Yeah.
there's some lack of convention here how they design.
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah.
Um,
Just like, let me be on a train, just read my newspaper. Well,
well, it's a lot more economical. It's quicker. It's safer.
And more pleasant.
And I guess my point is really, if you drive downtown and you park downtown, let's say from Ottawa, right?
Right.
I remember years ago, let's say 10, 15 years ago, it would take me about 2 hours flat.
Yep.
Now it's at least 2.5 to 2:40.
Yep.
If I drive to Brossard and I take the REM, it's still about 2.5 to get to Brossard Station.
Right.
And then you have to factor like another 20 minutes on the train to get to Gosselin to that. Fine.
Right.
I don't think I'm going to complain about riding the train.
No, but then again, I mean, it's a bit more pleasant to get into the city, and then again, I'm pretty sure at Brossard you don't have to pay for parking, so you don't have to worry about that.
For the most part, no. There's a paid area, but for the most part, if you arrive at the right time, then you don't have to pay.
There you go. And so you just leave it there, and it's kind of like the same sort of convenience is just leaving the train or getting off the train and not having to worry about it, right? You just leave your car outside the city and you don't have to worry about it once you're into the city. Taking transit everywhere, taking Bixby, makes it a bit nicer.
Yeah. So I mean, from now on, what I'm thinking is honestly coming in from Deux-Montagnes and taking the train down from there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There it's like 2 hours. You totally bypass all the traffic. You are going on the highway 50, which is sort of hit or miss as far as safety. But I suppose if you're willing to take the risk, then you'll reap the benefits by not having to deal with any traffic and all that.
Makes it a bit more interesting, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Saint Nick wrote, extend the REM to Mirabel Airport.
I was just about to say, I was looking at that in its proximity to Mirabel. Yeah. It's interesting, eh? I mean, how well used is Mirabel? Because I know that it was this huge project back in the day that it was supposed to be like the central airport for Canada or something like that, with all these planned expansions. But then now it's seen, less use than they thought because it was a bit harder to get out to. But interestingly, with what he said, I mean, wasn't there the idea of getting a train out to Mirabel Airport anyways? But that just never materialized. I mean, this could be a way to do that. Now that you're so close with Deux-Montagnes, I mean, your rail right of way, I mean, it continues up this. Oh yeah, wow. Wait. Oh yeah, it goes right into Mirabel. Huh, there you go. So you definitely could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like LA is saying right now, it's now a freight airport, and I think Bombardier, or I guess Airbus, have a manufacturing facility now for the C series jets and aircraft. But missed opportunity. It's interesting that there's rapid train service. I mean, there was the EXO line that went to Deux-Montagnes before. There's still the EXO line that goes to Saint Jerome. But I mean, it's unfortunate that it's a big controversy, right? Mirabel. A lot of people lost their farms, lost their homes, got expropriated, like a massive expropriation, getting people out of there to build this airport that ultimately seemed, looking at it now, was destined to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah,
really.
And look at the transit that we're building now, and just looking at the REM, coming back to the REM again, like 60, 70 kilometers of track of service. Like, this is pretty much like building the Montreal Metro.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. it really is incredible. Sorry, I'm still on Mirabel for a second, and now I'm thinking, I know this is a crazy idea, but the planner in me kind of goes wild sometimes. Is that why couldn't you just build out Mirabel instead, connect it with the REM, and then take Pierre Elliott Trudeau and transform it into its own sort of second downtown,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that would definitely increase ridership along that section, but you would have to connect it to Dorval. I don't know. That might be a bit too wild, but I mean, there's so many things you could do, especially when you already have Mirabel there already, and that was its intended original use. Sorry, let's get back. What were you saying again? I got sidetracked for a second.
Well, I was just saying. Honestly, I don't remember.
Yeah. Let's talk about, if you want, we could talk about getting to REM stations, and specifically wayfinding in the surrounding area. How do we find that? What's your take on that? If you're, say, let's say Edouard-Montpetit, you're outside, you're looking around, what is the wayfinding situation in terms of saying, oh yeah, okay, there's a REM station, 300 meters that way?
Well, let's say in some areas it's good. Like I know, for example, if and we have David that's just joining us right now, and David's probably going to have a point about the Mirabel.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay,
David?
first of all, how dare you put Airbus between brackets? Like, how dare you?
Okay, I think we're going to. Okay, thanks a lot for joining
Bye,
us,
David.
No, but sorry, I saw that when I haven't been following the whole thing, but like when I saw the Airbus between brackets about Marvel, I was really ticked off. So anyway,
My apologies.
carry on. My bad. Hello, everyone. By the way, it comes in like a bowl in the China store.
Just don't mention trash bins.
Yeah. Yeah, like they forgot to mention there's no trash bins on all the platforms, and yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Trash bins, washrooms, little like coffee shops. I mean, I'm surprised I didn't see that along the REM,
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, coming back, Duncan, to your point there about the wayfinding, driving into the stations, let's say, when I went on Monday, I went to Brassard. I came over the Champlain Bridge, and just before you get to Ducartier, like the way that the highways are set up in Montreal, it's like an express collector kind of thing. So kind of like, right? Like the exit ramps just drag and drag and drag, right? So I saw the exit, but I wasn't paying attention. It was like 4:50 a.m. in the morning, right? I've been driving for 2+ hours.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it didn't clue in on me, right? I'm like, oh yeah, I have to get off over here. So I'm saying to myself, okay, well, I'm just gonna get off at the next one. And then all of a sudden I see Ducartier and I don't see any more exit, right? And then it's just like you're just going into field at that point.
Yeah.
And I can see the sign like next exit. I put on the GPS, it's like 10 kilometers before I can turn around the other way. I'm like, well, this is completely ludicrous. But I guess there wasn't, I could be wrong, or it comes back to your point, the wayfinding wasn't very good that I didn't even notice it, which would have clued me into having gotten off earlier on, right?
Absolutely.
When you have highway exits set up in such a way, it needs to be clear. Otherwise, I wasted a good 20+ minutes driving out and then having to loop all the way back.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's, time and time again, wayfinding is underrated and just underdone here. And it is so important to be able to easily find your way, whether that's on foot or by car. Being able to find your way to the station and get around, and once you get out of the station, knowing where things are. One of the things I like about what we have in Ottawa is, and that I don't see when I'm walking around in Montreal until I actually see the actual station with the logo on it, is in Ottawa we have the little kind of street sign things, with the train this way 300 meters. When you're walking down St. Laurier, you'll see that, and it's those little things that really help. And I wonder why we don't really see that at least I haven't seen it for the REM for the Metro in Montreal. That could really help me as a tourist in that city. I mean,
But I think it's also part of. Don't forget, and I kind of I don't know if that's been brought up, but you really like it's easy to call the REM basically the biggest expansion of the metro since the metro because of how many more kilometers of tracks it adds. But we need to think of it, and that's a bit of a part of like the old politics behind it, as something completely different than the metro, as two isolated systems, and the wayfinding for it clearly tries to be its own thing, while the metro has its own thing that's guided by the ARTM and the STM2, which was also undergoing its own review of its wayfinding. But at the same time, the REM didn't seem to really want to be integrated in the wayfinding and the mindset of it. So there's some good ideas and places that you look at and you realize, well, they have it for the STM, but then they don't have it they don't have it for the REM. So like it makes no sense. But anyway,
yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, honestly, because I mean, from a regular person's point of view, I mean, for us, we know like, okay, the REM is owned by CDPQ and the metro is run by RTM, and then they have these STM buses and everything. From a normal person's point of view, it's like it's transit,
yeah,
and just with that, it means that, you know, if you're choosing to instead take a car, you're choosing to take transit, it should be an integrated wayfinding system. You shouldn't have to care about who owns it. You should just know how to use it, you know, not having to think too much. And so that kind of, you know, you kind of lose the approachability of it when you can't actually
create a barrier for no reason, because
no reason.
And if you look, I mean, anyone that looks at the map of we talked about it while taking the metro in Montreal, but how there's always that second order idea that the metro, even to the ARTM, when they look at the metro exists on its own scale. The REM exists on a separate scale. The bus services on another one. So like it just creates that barrier to the idea that everything is interconnected. And most people who are going to do a trip on the REM, they might just take the REM and get off at McGill and be right next to their workplace or where they're going. But at the same time, there's going to be some people that are literally going to have no choice than to connect on a bus route or the metro. And that whole signage part is, to put mildly, like at most stations, it's very minimalistic. Like even I was at Bois-Franc to take some shots from the outside, and like you go out the door and you have the bus loop that stretches for maybe 200 meters to the left, and there's literally no signage that tells you, oh, like your stop might be at this platform or something. You just have to figure it out or know it. So it's fine for the people that are going to use the system every day, but it's not built with the mindset that, you know, people from out of town might actually want to take transit. And that's anyway.
Yeah. I mean, going back to the map, when you what you're saying with you know, there's different orders to it. I mean, I don't really understand why they would design the map like that, right? You have the metro as this one order, and when you're on the metro, you see that as the thick lines. But really, when you're thinking of it, I mean, in some or many cases, the REM will have a faster headway than a metro, right? You'll see like a 7-minute headway on a metro in Montreal a lot of the times. And so from a person's point of view, it's not really about, you know, what are technically the same system, you know, like the metro with the 500-meter long trains or whatnot. It's really, you know, what service quality am I getting and how does that interconnect? Right. And so I want to use rapid lines to get throughout the city. Show me all the rapid lines, please. And it's interesting that the map doesn't show that. You know, in a convenient way.
Yeah. The other thing that's interesting too with the metro, sorry, it slipped me there. The point, like if you compare the metro to the REM, the metro stations are in most cases less than a kilometer apart. In some cases, they're like 500 meters. In some cases, they're a kilometer. Generally, the longest you're going to see is 1.5 kilometers, right? Except for maybe 2 or 3 of them.
Right.
Whereas the REM, you could be going 5-6 kilometers between stations at a minimum.
Yeah.
And so it necessitates needing to connect to it in most cases one way or another.
And even if we take, you know, even if we take it in a vacuum, say we look at, okay, it's a bit unfair to call the REM a network right now because it's a line in the grand, like it's in a weird spot, and it's gonna obviously change once we have the Al Salam branch and the airport.
Right.
But it's the wayfinding on the REM is built for the idea that it's its own network and that there's no trip whatsoever you could ever do that would require you to connect to anything else.
Yeah.
Like there's the wayfinding message for the connection to the blue line when you get to Montpetit on the announcement. But if you're in the station and trying to get to Edouard Montpetit on the metro, like say you're at the platform level, obviously you intuitively you'll know you need to go up if you're someone that's used to it. But as a passenger, if it's the first time you're going there, you're not going to know that. So you need to go up. Then you need to figure out, once you're out the elevators, you need to go to the right. And that hallway that has a small signage that does say Blue Line, Edouard Montpetit, or something similar like that. While you have most of the people that are going to connect there are just going to go still straight up to the exit. And then if you're outside, you're going to see the metro station just across the street. Mm-hmm. While you could have an indoor connection, literally that would have saved you time because the station is actually closer to be under the street than on the other side of the street. So it's, that's the problem of having too many cooks in the kitchen. So
it should be easy enough that you could be new to the city and you just got off like a red-eye flight and you're like really groggy walking around, but you can still easily just get through the system and know where you're going. That should be the level that we aspire to in terms of the ease of using transit, because that's really important if we want people to use transit, which I think we do.
Yeah, but it's not normal that you get onto a brand new network and you have to figure out how to connect to the existing network. Normally, like if we're building integrated station, I think McGill for that is not too bad because it's already part of underways. But like the Edouard Montpetit basically has the problem of being too big for its own good of a station in terms of like there's a physical barrier by the depth, but also like how do you relate to people where they are close to on the surface?
Yeah.
And like there's one graphic I know I sent it to Shane lately for a video and something else, but what was it? The side plan of McGill Station.
Right.
Oh
So
yeah,
on
I
the
can bring that
website,
up.
like, there's no
I
plans
can
of
bring
the
it.
actual stations. There's no sense of like how you get from one point within the station to another point, other than the signage. So on the website, there's plans to how to get to the stations, but now how to navigate the stations themselves. And I think that that kind of reinforces that whole like communications problem on how to get people to navigate the network and everything. So anyway, I feel like we could go a lot further on that because it's one of those things that like the ARTM spent a lot of money having a regional plan for the signage and everything. And that whole plan is basically completely ignored by the rep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So even that, like this is for some purposes, it's great. But for other, like still there's no relation to the exterior. It tells you where the entrances are and like how the platform level exists within everything else, but still at some point it's still limited information versus like, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but like OC Transpo has some actually really good maps of the stations.
Yeah.
It's really easy to say like it's easy to complain about something about OC Transpo. Like I don't know if that's been brought up before in this conversation, but
many times.
yeah. So like that's something I feel that Pulsar, I guess, is going to be responsible for that nowadays. But like, there needs to be better coordination with the RTM to make sure that like it's okay. I get it. The STM doesn't want to have to be held responsible for a network that basically is potentially losing them ridership and revenues because of the revenue split that needs to be done with the REM. But at the same time, from a user perspective, we need you need an adult in the room.
Yep. The goal is to provide a good transit system for your citizens.
There you go.
You got to work together.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. So what do we think about the when we're looking at the station designs? We're thinking about the broader context around the station. What do you think about how the REM manages the transit-oriented development aspect? We know that there's something pretty cool with Du Quartier, with the connected hotel and all of those restaurants around it. But with this new extension, is it kind of what you expected, and also is it what you want, right? Or do you think it could be done better?
It's a trick question, because it's the whole argument of, so the REM. Okay, we can look at it two ways in my mind. We can look at it as the REM exists because the alignment was there,
right,
which is in some ways the most basic interpretation we can do. So you have a corridor that exists that can be upcycled into a rapid metro system,
yes,
whichever definition we want to use. So it comes with its own implied biases, because obviously you do not have options for example, you do not have the option to build at Ville-Mont-Royal for a lot of things, or you cannot do along Canora also the same kind of problem because it's already built. However, you still have the opportunities to upcycle certain parts. I'm thinking about Côte de Liesse or Bois-Franc, or why do I have Panorama stuck in my head? That's not... anyway, like if you look a bit further out, if you look at industrial areas, there's really good opportunities to upcycle and actually build transit-oriented development. The real question becomes like, how do we valorize that? Because for CDPQ, development is like the stations are placed in spots in their mind, at least, that can generate development. Because the closer the development is, the bigger it is, the more the valuation of the land goes up. So therefore, they get a slightly larger part of the tax revenue for the specific lots. I think it's 500 meters, a circle of 500 meters around each station, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe a bit larger. But basically, like this. So the stations, if we go from the premise that the stations are there because they see potential to develop, then some of them are really good, some of them are terrible. But if you look at it as serving the people that already live there, that's where it becomes, I think, more complicated the further north we go, because I don't think it's reasonable to expect around Deux-Montagnes to densify massively. And I don't think it's fair to, I don't think anyone expects Il Bigra to be a huge transit-oriented development hub in the next few years. Like, we can potentially see it from stations further, maybe on the west end of the island. Like, I think Al Salom and the other stations around there might have more potential for that.
Sunnybrook, definitely.
Yeah, totally. So, like, I'm inclined to think it's like a tale of two stories, and like two conflicting ideas, that you want to build a network while keeping the costs relatively low, but at the same time, the business case relies on them getting development charges.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting anyway. And as Alain points out in the chat, for Deux-Montagnes specifically, the woods are protected, and there's a lot of areas that are probably in the same situation. Like, if we look, after you go from Il Bigra, you go all the way to Bois-Franc, for example. This entire part there is most likely protected woods, and they even planted more trees as part of the rehabilitation works after construction. So that's a lot of land that you will not develop, and because of the distance between there and the stations, then you still do not extract additional revenues for CDPQ out of it. So
that's true.
Yeah. It's
even though I might want a station just right inside a forest, so you can just you have transit oriented nature. You can see that it's not conducive to something that generates revenue.
Because
then again, I mean, it's an amenity.
And there's some stations that are going to naturally get more transit oriented development. I'm like I mean, McGill is already quite developed, but we might see a transformation of what is built around McGill Station or Gare Centrale or Ile des Sœurs. And if we go further north, the same thing. It's a bit of reverse problem of Ottawa, that Ottawa built stations in the middle of a field.
Yeah.
And the developers are being told, here's the parameters of what you can build.
Yeah.
Now, CDPQ doesn't really have that much leeway. They can say, like, hey, like, there's transit there. If you want to build, you're going to have to pay us a bit more. But, like, we believe we brought value to this specific part of the real estate part. And, like, that's the whole value proposition of the REM. So it's a good transit system,
Yep.
but it's also a financial tool. And that's something it's hard to explain, I think, to people that look at it as just a transit network. And it's also a problem to explain to people that look at it as just an investment problem. An investment vehicle. You end up with two perspectives that are really opposite to one another because they have different goals. One wants to have as much ridership right away. The other wants to have opportunities to build up the ridership. And I think that's also part of the old Montreal did not build transit for way too long argument.
Yeah. I wonder if we know just how much property CDPQ owns around these REM stations. I mean, obviously they own the right of way, but I wonder if they have acquired property to develop around the stations, especially with this new extension, or if they're just solely relying on outside developers to come in and build.
My understanding is they do not own the lots themselves. That's my understanding, and like the whole financing model is built on like I'm going back to like the presentation we got in 2022, but basically like their model is like, okay, we want to achieve, for example, 8% a year return rate on the rent. So that 8% is basically from the land. Like the main tool for them has always been seen as ridership and the land, the tax right they have on the land surrounding the stations. Because even if the land isn't developed, the land has arguably increased in value no matter what.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
So like redevelopment is like if they say like they target the 8% redevelopment, it doesn't mean everything needs to be developed all at once. It just means that over a period of 10 years, they expect to basically have like with compounding, I guess it's closer to 86% maybe of the right of way to have seen some increase in value of some sort. And like it doesn't absolutely mean like 8% for the investment folks is a bit more than just status quo in the market per se. So like it's not aggressive in the sense of like what the market results can produce, but it's a bit more aggressive in real estate. So their bet is built on the idea that people will see value in those specific lands and invest in them. So,
well, it's interesting that you say that, because I wonder how, because I'm not familiar with the history of it, but how the development around Deux Quartier happened. Was that built before the REM? Because it looks like it's a brand new development that was built around.
This one has been there for a while. That I'm sure. Unicartier, I am tempted to say it was. It already started opening when the REM, the first branch, went live.
Right.
So how much of it is being built in between? That's the part I'm not entirely sure about.
It looks like nothing was there in 2018. 2017, it was just greenfield.
Like it started building, like it started densifying after the REM was approved. That's for sure.
Interesting. Okay.
Like, but the timeline itself, I wouldn't be able to say, unfortunately.
Well, Saint Nick is actually saying that he thinks solar was built for the REM.
Oh yeah, it was okay in the sense that like to reiterate what I'm saying is like they built it because the REM brought the conditions that made sense to bring it there.
Right.
Like it's not it was built because the business case makes more sense if you have transit that goes there directly.
Right. So I wonder what other areas might have just been unlocked now.
Panorama.
Extension. Panama, you said?
Panama. Why do I keep saying Panorama? There's some plans that just came out earlier last week for I think 32 floors and 4 different phases or something like that on the site of the shopping center there. Yeah, so that's a lot of units, first of all, for real estate, but also it's a huge valorization of the land. Because, that's a shopping mall with a lot of parking, and like I'm pretty sure one of the anchors was the Bay, but I might be mixing malls.
So, seeing as though Panama is part of the first extension, we're looking at maybe how long ago did the first extension of the REM open?
23.
23.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a lag time of maybe 3 years for Panama.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe by 2029, 2030, wonder what we'll see in around maybe Bois-Franc or Deux-Ruisseaux, areas like that. Sorry for my French, it's awful.
But Deux-Ruisseaux, Bois-Franc, Côte de Liesse, I think, are 3 that have a lot of potential if you're willing to accept that, especially in the case of Côte de Liesse, that the industrial sector around there needs to go. If you start on the premise that this land is much more valuable as real estate of any sort, or even commercial space, like it's.
Well, I wonder how. Côte de Liesse. I'm not too familiar with it, but would you classify that as light or heavy industrial? Because if it's light industrial, then there's nothing saying it couldn't be made up as a mixed light industrial and residential area. It's more in terms of
My understanding is I'm probably don't forget that's a railway corridor that used to be. So the type of industrial around there is maybe not I'm inclined to think it's more light industrial, especially around Côte de Liesse. But
Alain is saying it's heavy.
Heavy? Okay.
I trust Alain way more than myself on that one.
I would have said because it doesn't look super dense or built up.
Yeah.
But
because
that's not really taking into account what there actually is there.
Yeah. Because it's a lot of what I'm looking at least through Google Maps and stuff, it's a lot of food packaging and stuff like that. Like if we take along Des Lauriers, which is the station, the street to the right of the station. So, sorry, to the east, I should say. That first block is mostly light-ish industrial. It's industrial, but it's if they were to uproot that, I don't think we'd be talking about as much contamination, for example, as other places. But then on the other side, you have a bit more heavier industry, and you also have the whole new Stinson garage for the STM.
Yeah,
which
that's very
cool,
very
but it's prime real estate for something else,
right? It's just like the what's the other new STM garage that was just built? I think it's right up.
Oh, the I was gonna say the fancy one.
God, I forget. Is it near Beaubien or? Yeah, there we go. Bellechasse. Beautiful. It's really cool what they're doing there. It's just weird to see such a nice architecture going into a bus garage, but that's really cool to see. So I guess if it is heavy though, then it would be.
You meant by the way, not Beaubien.
Sorry?
You said Beaubien for the station next to it, but it's more Rosemont right next door.
Oh, okay, sounds good. Yeah. I see that now.
It's a common mistake. It's a common mistake.
Beaubien is my stop for smoked meat when I'm not going to Schwartz. And keep reiterating that in the
And Sauvé is your stop when you're going to the STM boutique, right?
Well, it doesn't exist in person anymore. They closed it up.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Yeah.
So
we should do a video with them at some point. That would be fun.
For what, sorry?
We should reach out to them one time and see if they would be interested in doing a video to talk about what they do.
STM boutique?
Well, but because they have artifacts from the actual network, that they present.
Yeah, but the whole in-person thing closed up after the pandemic. When was it? I went 2020. 3, I think. Like they don't do much in person anymore. I think they outsourced a lot of it. Well, I mean, sorry, I should say like they don't do as much that you can go see in person. Like I think it's just literal drop off and yeah. But I gotta give it to them though. They have a really good collection of products. Like you know, I keep repeating it and like say what I can say all I want again on that subject because first of all, Rail Fans Canada has its own merch collection. Anyway. So I'm in a position to give lessons to other organizations, I feel. And like, you know, OC Transpo, TT, like who has shops? TTC, STM, and now Via Rail. So why can't OC Transpo have one? Why can't the REM have one? Like there's people are more than happy to share. Like I think I'm not saying you put all your eggs in your basket. You're a transit organization. Your whole point is offering transit, but at the same time, like I think it's important to recognize that people have attachment to those systems because those systems are part of their daily lives, and some of them are iconic in style, some of them are iconic in presence, and like you know, part of like making people feel like they belong and are worthwhile of users of a system is like how they relate to it. And like OC Transpo might not have the best reputation among Ottawa citizens right now. But it doesn't change that the O-Train is transformative. It doesn't change that the REM is transformative. And it doesn't change that there's always going to be appeal to people to see them as central to the fabric of the city they are in. So,
yeah, there's a culture around it, right? I mean, just like what we saw on the REM cutouts that everybody was folding together. There's even a little orange pylon on the front of it, you know, that's in the front of the REM. I mean, there's a culture around it.
Yeah. What's the name of that cone again? Oh, geez. But like that's from a collab from 2020, 2019, I think. But like basically, like the reason why is because like they did that to promote the construction efforts and everything like that of the REM. And like Ponto, thank you, Sainik. Yeah, so Ponto is like those fold-outs they gave still now in 2025 were designed in collaboration with them in 2019, 2020. And like, yeah, you have one. Mine's are down.
There you go. Right here. Oh, wait, let me turn off the blur.
But all this to say that, like, it doesn't mean you have to start offering everything at once. You just need to have, yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, because they also technically made the REM a lady. So it's Madame REM for that. So it's Madame REM and Ponto the cone, I guess. But it's kind of sad that we should be proud of those things, and like I bring it up sometimes, like in I wrote about it personally on my own blog, and like I know, like do this claiming is repeating what he says and is so proud about himself. Yeah, sure, but pride about the network and pride about the infrastructure we build should be something we be more advocates of, not just us at Rail Fans, but like in general the public. Because if you want people to feel like they belong in your systems, you need to show those systems out. And absolutely, that's one thing I really noticed on the opening day and the weekend before. And like to that, I really have to salute CDPQ on this one, because no one does a full weekend of showcasing a new network for no fares at all, and then give merge, and then have something as simple as a passport that you can get a stamp at all the stations, because those things, they get people to see value in the system. They're not just like it's the transition of the project you've seen being built for years that was a nuisance to your commute, because now you lost a train ride, a 1C train ride to downtown that was replaced with a bus that takes way longer, or a bus and then a train connection to then connect back to where you were on another station. Like, it's disruptive to people, and that's fine. That's part of building infrastructure. But at the same time, you need people to feel like the infrastructure belongs to them. And that's the same thing with open houses, and that's the same thing with behind the scenes look, and like
Mhm.
there's there's a reason why the videos that people like the most on the channel, I believe, are the videos that show something they might not be able to ever see. Like I'm thinking the VRL, the Montreal Maintenance Center, the 2 visits we got to do last year have been even 2022, February 2024, I think, and summer 2024. Those are 2 of the most viewed videos on the channel, not because they're nothing special in the sense of like the production or anything like that, but it's about what we talk. It's about what we're able to show. It's things that no one can show normally. And anyway, I'm starting to rant right there. So.
Well, I mean, another point that when you were talking about taking part in the system, I mean, they're all great systems in their own way, and they all have little flaws.
Yeah, of course.
And not everybody's going to be happy, right? But I think the general consensus is that these systems do make people's lives better.
Yep.
And, you know, it can be positive every day, except that one day when there's a service interruption and people are lining out outside Gare Centrale and Place Bonaventure to take a bus back to Brossard, right?
Yeah.
But beyond that, and I guess it really plays into what happens in Ottawa, right? Everybody was used to the one bus ride. You know, you could go from Orleans, get the bus not even a block away from your home, get off downtown, and some of them would actually continue right to Lincoln Fields, right? So let's say you lived in Orleans and you went to Algonquin College, 50% chance you could get a bus almost close to your door that would go right to Lincoln Fields, and you just have to switch to another bus for 2 stops.
Yeah.
Right? And now you have a rail system where people need to make a connection to get to it, and in some cases make a connection after riding it to complete their journey. So it creates this different experience for people, and people might not be used to that at this point, right? It's obviously going to improve once the state going out to baseline, going comments about, well, the EXO Deux-Montagnes train was better than the REM is right now. Well, maybe it had... I'm not exactly sure what the justification is of that, to be honest. But I'm pretty sure this train definitely goes faster. This train definitely goes faster and smoother than the old one. So I'm not quite sure what the justification or the point could be that the old
because you go from the mindset that it's a commuter train with seating for everyone, and like, you know, it's not as quick. It's more of a roundabout way. But like that's the problem of like, how do you communicate such? How do you tell people that you go from, okay, your ride is going to take, I'm just pitching a number there, 40 minutes. You're going to have your own seat. It's going to be on an actual train to, well, your ride might be 10 minutes faster, but it's going to be more like a metro. Except, how do you tell people, like people take maybe one train in, one train out during the day. You don't care. For them specifically, they don't care if the train goes up every 5 minutes. My God, that keyboard slap.
Oh, shoot, sorry. I didn't know if you could hear it.
What are the switches? Green, blue?
Blue.
Yeah, of course.
Which can we see it?
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's it right there. Yeah, it's old, like, I don't know, IBM terminal key switches I got from Massdrop like 5 years ago. Yeah.
Got a good sound though.
If I keep typing, I'm gonna mute.
But the point I'm making is like, it's easy to communicate time savings. It's easy to communicate for people against a project to communicate maybe things like comfort, and that's like losing a bench might be like. I know it's not as interesting for everyone, but the reality is like now those lines, and once the REM is completed throughout, they're gonna go from a train maybe once an hour during peak hours to a train every 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It changes the whole rationale of how you think about how you get places. And like I know we love to rant about the service pattern of the O train. Now that's but like that's part of the conversation, because if the larger your network of frequent service gets you, and for like geographically speaking, the more places it gets you, the better the connectivity is for everyone. And like the way Ottawa addresses that by slashing service on the old train, because, well, it's not fair for the people downtown to have frequent service if people in the suburbs don't have frequent service. You know, there's a reason why the service gets worse for everyone. It's because of those mindsets. Anyway, that's all other topic.
No,
But like at the end of the day, if you miss the train by 1 minute or 9 minutes, doesn't make a difference. You miss the bus on the other end.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what's interesting there is I've gone to Montreal many times.
Hmm.
That's no secret. And there's been many times where I want to try one of the EXO lines, but the frequency sucks to be able to leave. And I fear going to a point where I'm going to be just blowing my whole day waiting to come back.
Yeah.
Like there are commuters,
right?
There are commuters that will plan their trip around it to get there, or to go long distances in the morning or night for their commute. But I mean, for many other people, if your frequency is that low, it might as well not exist, right? And so frequency is so important, especially when we're looking at a phased system like the O train, or even like the REM in this case. When you have low frequencies, especially with the buses on the end, then the idea of a transfer just starts to fall flat, right? Because transfers, in terms of network planning, are an incredible, powerful tool. But if your frequencies aren't good enough, then it brings it from an incredible tool in planning to an absolute travesty from the point of view of the user, right? And so it is, in many cases, enough to have people just give up on it. If you're trying to, say, get off the line 1 at Tunney's and your bus doesn't come for another half hour, then you're just going to give up and call an Uber, really. So it's really important to make sure the network works together, not just with the REM and the metro, but the buses and everything in between. It's like I said, looking at it from a cohesive network perspective is critical. It's anyways.
And it's easy to throw rocks.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Like, I mean, the point that you were making there, Duncan, and I was making a while ago too, was mostly the frequency can be very bad. People won't use it. Like David said there, it's as if it doesn't exist, right? So the example, like, again, I'm going as, I guess, a tourist or an out of towner. I've only ever ridden the Hudson line.
Yeah.
Right? And the Deux-Montagnes, I did it in the past. The Deux-Montagnes ran quite frequently. I mean, not to the frequency of the REM, but it did run to some frequency that I wouldn't get stuck for an inordinate amount of time to be able to come back. The Hudson line, I rode it out to, I think I got off at Vendôme. Like, I didn't want to chance it to go further because, I mean, these are lines that operate a certain number of trips outbound per day and a certain number of trips inbound, right? So just because you can leave, there's no guarantee there's going to be a trip that's going to bring you back within a reasonable amount of time, or if at all, that same day.
Yeah.
So at that point, like, it's really being called a commuter service. It really is a commuter service. It gets people in on a typical work schedule to make their starting hours and to get them back out when their shift is done. Outside of that, the usefulness is extremely limited to none.
Anyway,
so I can't help but wonder if the REM used to be a freight rail line and they upgraded it into such a beautiful service, right? No, I'm not going.
I know where you're going.
No, what I'm going to ask is, even though the CDPQ funded the REM, and they're the ones that built it out, I know that the EXO runs on freight rail still. I believe that's why it's only 1 hour or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I wonder.
It's Rail, I think.
Sorry?
I think it's running on the Canadian Pacific Rail.
Okay.
I think.
And so I guess I can almost, I can guess the answer, but I wonder if the ARTM, with enough funding, of course, would ever look at taking the more EXO lines and just doing a REM themselves.
It's. I think that's part of how the ARTM is seen by the government in Quebec right now. I think the ARTM for a lot of them is seen as a necessary evil that doesn't get anything more than the bare minimum.
Hmm.
In the sense that, like, let's say, for example, rolling stock. Like, it took everything to get those CRC cars and the Siemens Siemens Charger locomotives are starting to come in. Like, it's not it's not a structure that gets resources based on a business case. It's an organization that gets resources on look, it's this or we stop to exist. Which sounds kind of familiar to a lot of things about VRL, if you think about it, because like the procurement for VRL for the corridor to cars was done on the same basis. The same for the long distance fleet. It's like, we need those or we stop. So in that sense, I'd be surprised to see them get more resources to run more service.
Yeah,
I wish they did. I wish we looked at
the
the RTM the same way that the government of Ontario looks at Metrolinx. But politically,
But like the risk right now we've seen in the news is that there's actually talk and potential that some EXO lines could be discontinued and just turned to bus.
Yeah.
Really?
And that would, I mean, it's hard to talk about expanding service further when they're pretty much being faced with the potential of putting them completely on the chopping block.
Yeah.
And that can't be allowed to happen, because then, I mean, then you're just removing service. You're putting people back on buses on the road. And if I'm going to take, like, for example, let's say you take a bus in a region of Ottawa or Gatineau where there's no transitway or dedicated bus lanes or anything, right? What's the advantage of taking the bus over just driving? You're on the same road.
Yeah.
You're relegated to the same traffic lights. And the worst part is the bus is actually going to stop at most of the bus stops along the way, picking up people and letting off people, right? So it's inherently going to take longer than just driving. So the value proposition at that point just goes from workable to crap to just nothing.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so important to design these transit systems to say, hey, how can we not just meet the same experience as using the car, but how can we exceed it? And there's so many ways that we can exceed it and make it an incredible service to use that people would want to use. But we find it, I guess, really hard to take those steps, even though in the case of, say, an EXO line, it's completely possible to, say, upgrade it to double or, say, triple track to, have two for EXO, like two for an EXO REM and then one for the freight rail, and make it into something that people want to use. You're not going to have people stop living there as soon as you get rid of the EXO line, right? So the demand still exists. So how can you look at that line as something that you could instead upgrade to make it even more desirable and get you out of this rut?
Yeah. What's the thing you're the most on opening day? I know what's the thing you're the most. Why are we doing the REM de l'Est? Why are we not bringing back the REM de l'Est?
Yep.
Like, there's a reason why people say that. Because now it's a tangible project that has a tangible impact on people's life.
Yep.
And now, if you say that for REM de l'Est, then you can start making a case about what do we do about EXO. And EXO itself has been built on, look, tracks are there, we have to make it work.
Yep.
So if we are building the REM on the same premise of we have a corridor, we need to upcycle it, we should start having conversations about how we upcycle other corridors in one way or another.
Yep.
But, and I really like bringing problems into every conversation, there's a big alto problem there.
Yes.
It's like, what will they take as a way into Montreal? Because
sorry,
we had the conversation so many times on the Discord server, or me with Patrick and Jim on the way into Montreal on Sunday, or on the way back. Probably you had that same conversation, I feel. So, like, what is Alto going to do is going to change so many things for how we address other things. Because if we start on the premise, and I'm just speculating, I have no insider information at all. I'm just speculating.
Me neither.
Yeah. So let's say Alto doesn't want Dorval. They don't. Then all of a sudden, there's no point in them having to deal potentially with the right of way of CP and CM into Montreal from that side. They could decide to come from Laval. They could decide to come from the South Shore. They could, well, I don't know. They could decide to just tunnel the whole thing.
Or just go down the middle of the St. Lawrence if they wanted to.
Yeah, sure. On the barge.
Yeah.
Yeah, high-speed barge. That sounds cool, actually.
Yeah.
I'll send an email. But the point I'm making is like, right now, those corridors are still freight. They're going to still need to carry freight. So whatever we do to improve the passenger capacity of those corridors means either we add tracks or we get better deals with those that operate those tracks. And frankly, right now, I do not believe the ARTM has nor the capacity nor the support from the government to try to do either of those things. And if you have Alto that comes in like a bull in the China store and decides that, look, we need this specific segment, and it interferes with either CP or EXO, you can bet that EXO will be the first to pay the price. It's not going to be CP. CP is going to keep the corridor they have.
Yeah. Even if it would benefit Alto to have local commuter services that run along the same right of way to be able to help their ridership
but
the
then,
catchment area. But
yeah,
but
you
they're still
start
just gonna-
entering the whole debate of like, do you want Alto to be a fully closed system that has its own right of way and its own controls and everything, or you accept that arguably you might interfere in the capacity of Alto to work in one way or another.
Yeah. And if I was to choose one, I'd probably just say, let's make it as high speed as possible. And that means
I would keep it as closed as I can. If
Well,
it was my decision,
Yeah.
like, you're better off finding ways to feed people onto those 7 stations along Alto and have some sort of external backbone than to have the backbone be built into Alto.
Exactly. Yeah. If you can find areas in Montreal or in any city where you can run trains along a really wide right of way without getting in Alto's way, cool. But I mean, we're looking at something that we need to keep as fast as possible, as fluid as possible, and that just requires creating a closed system. Right?
And we keep talking about that, but like, you need higher order. Like, you cannot build transit or infrastructure or anything of the sort that's all on the same level. You need a higher order system, a lower order, and like, at some point you need to draw a line. And I think if we're drawing that line, Alto needs to be as high as possible. We should be building Alto not to be precluded by the existence of other networks. Like, it needs to be the other way around. Other networks need to find a way to feed into Alto.
Yes.
And if it means that the federal government needs to work with the respective provinces on either on a funding deal or something like that, yeah, I know, crazy idea.
Yeah.
Like, if it means that we need the provincial government and the federal government to come to an agreement to hypothetically build a connection between wherever the new high-speed train station is in Montreal and the existing network of transit network in Montreal, so be it. Same thing in Toronto. Same thing in Ottawa. Like, well, Ottawa's
a bit easier.
My guess is going to be Tremblay no matter what. But like,
Oh yeah.
for the other cities, like, there's a lot still on the table to discuss.
Yeah, like it would be. I'd say it would be hard to get into Union Station in Toronto, but almost in some ways it'd be harder to get into Union Station in Ottawa because, well, Tremblay's right there. Why wouldn't you do that? Right?
Well, I mean, also you need to back out.
Yeah.
Like,
Unless you do a huge tunnel, but
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it circles back to the whole idea that, like, right now in Canada we have the opportunity, at least for the eastern part of the country, I should say, we have the opportunity to establish a proper higher order system.
Yep.
And we should not compromise the higher order system for the benefit of the lower order ones.
Yeah.
The way we should build it should be a way that we want those systems to feed upward.
Yeah.
And
this is the highest tranche, and it needs to work above everything else.
Yeah, because we're not getting maglev.
No,
Like not
as
anytime
much as I would
soon.
want it. Yeah.
So if we know this is what we are building as the top dog, if I can call it this way, of rail infrastructure in the country for passengers, we should make sure that we do not compromise it for the sake of other things.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see.
Coming back to REM then. Yeah, we're looking at maybe Alto using ExoTrack to get into the city in Montreal potentially, and that kind of hurts the ability for the ARTM to build more REM style services in Montreal. But how does this come back to REM? How was I going to connect this back? I forget. Do you have any ideas?
Well, I mean, I guess your argument was the point you were trying to make was that if the RTM wants to build something of a bit higher order than just commuter rail lines, like they need resources, they need a corridor, they need a mandate.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's a bit funny to think of how the fact that CDPQ managed to get a mandate, build it, and everything faster than a lot of different things. Like we can have debates about the whole model of how the REM was built in the first place, but the reality is it's the only model that delivered in Quebec in the last 15 years.
Yeah. Now, could you see this model spreading?
I hope so, actually, because I think right now Alto is an evolution of that model.
Okay, interesting.
So I know, like, I can already hear people typing on their keyboards or like using that quote I'm about to say as like, oh my God, he really doesn't like the idea of a public operator. It's a public asset, and CDPQ is still a public asset, by the way. Like, I know some people like, oh, it's transit for profit or it's privatization of transit. No. CDPQ is a private, it's a public asset for all Quebecers. It's the same as if CPP invested in transit projects on the basis that, like, look, we know we're going to lose money on this specific thing, but we have so many opportunities to make money on other attached elements to it. So in that mindset, I think Alto is the same way. Alto is public infrastructure with a lease for a certain number of years that is not disclosed entirely. That is going to be a net positive for the population. It's going to increase productivity. It's going to reduce travel times. It's going to improve the environment, create jobs, etc., etc. In exchange for us through a lease and a revenue sharing agreement and some sort of financing mechanism that we are not fully aware of on the details. Did my computer just die?
Nope.
No? Oh, anyway. Like, literally, they blanked off. Like, anyway. Sorry. I lost my train of thought there when the screen turned off. Like, we're going from, it's a P3 in a sense that I would not call it a P3 because the assets remain public. The national interest in doing it still public. The part that we're privatizing is the part that's the least efficient right now in how we build. It's the whole look. We need to connect seven points on the line. We have some interests outside of how we connect that, but we want to build something.
Yeah. I think the hardest parts is right now is amassing the capital and then building it, and we just don't have the appetite to amass the capital, and we don't have the capacity to build it publicly.
Yeah. And I'll repeat what I said probably 20 times in the last 5 years. When they came out with the request for expression of interest for the for Alto, well, HFR at the time, when you see a pattern sometimes. Like, you look at things and you tell yourself, nah, it's never going to happen. HFR, when they took it out of VIA, my mindset was, look, they're just going to use it for election postering, and probably it's going to disappear in one mandate or something like that. But when you start seeing names on the request for expression of interest, not even an RFQ or an RFP, when you start seeing CDPQ, OSSTF, I think, was in there, the Ottawa Teacher Pension Plan. When you start seeing big capital like that actually values having hard assets, and like it's because they're not stupid. They know there's a business case. They know there's value into it.
Yep.
So if we start questioning, like that's the point in my mind where I personally told myself that it's going to happen. This time is the right one.
Absolutely. I mean, just a few days ago, I was at at the NCC Urbanism Lab in Ottawa, and it was hosted. It was NCC Urbanism Lab on high-speed rail in Canada, and it was hosted by the French Embassy, right? And so there is direct interest from other governments and their industry for building.
SNCF is a part of the consortium of Cadence.
Yeah, and then Alstom,
Yeah, there's a huge part of why I think like the moment, it's very Quebec-centric what I'm going to say, but if there's a group that's not willing to waste their time or waste their money on something, it's CDPQ. CDPQ are a profit monster in the sense of like being able to do the kind of returns they do with public assets, and like to use the expression like le bas de laine des Québécois, like with the money of all Quebecers, and actually be relatively successful over the long shot. And the same could be said about the CPP investment for the Canadian pension plans, is astonishing. And I think that's the transformative point of the REM. It's like we are choosing, instead of just investing in assets in other countries or into businesses, we are now investing into assets and infrastructure in our own country,
which is huge. It shows that there is a business case for the REM and REM-like projects, and that is huge for transit in Canada, right? Or really around the world, but definitely in Canada, showing that there's the appetite for this, that this can be done, it can be successful, and the REM doesn't have to be the first and last.
Totally, yeah. And we can look at Vancouver, that's attacking the problem a bit differently by allowing TransLink to actually build their own real estate on their station's land. Like, imagine, okay, outside of the jokes, imagine if OC Transpo could, for example, at tram stations say, look, we're going to build a massive station. Sorry, we're going to build a 30-floor building right next to tram station. It's going to be owned by the city. It's going to be a city asset. And we're going to find a partnering developer. So like basically what you're setting up is what we call a rate. Like a rate is a typical investment tool. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing extraordinary, but the reality is they make a profit. And like that's a one way to valorize inwards instead of outwards. Also, the 40 billion the CDPQ lost during the subprime crisis, you're right, they lost money. Everyone did. No one, like that's part of how it's part of balancing investments. And like if CDPQ can afford to lose 40, I mean, I know those people are going to say, oh no, they couldn't afford to lose it. Like investments per se are a gamble, and there's risk with any investment. But I would argue that an organization like CDPQ or CPP or SNCF or whichever like name you want to grab from a list, if they're all convinced there's a case, are willing to develop a bid for not just a high-speed rail line, but also a high-frequency network at 200 kilometers, and then come out and say, well, you know what? We think it's worth building up to 200 kilometers. Get the government to spend $4 billion on that development agreement, even before we have a shovel in the ground, and that the government says, we want to accelerate the timelines. And you have the government, the French embassy through the NCC, and various other opportunities. Like this week is RailCat 2025 is in Ottawa, going because I'm a student, and that was a great opportunity. But like the point I'm saying is like I wouldn't be surprised by going there that I'm going to hear about two things the whole time. It's going to be Alto is happening, and the other thing is like watch out.
Yep.
Like I think we said it in the Discord one way, and I really liked it. It's stand back from the platform because this one's going to move quickly. Like it's not
absolutely.
And like you don't put an act
About time.
budget. You don't put an high-speed railway act as part of your budget motions if you're not serious about it.
Yeah, it's good that we're finally serious about it.
Like this time, and I don't think CDPQ would be in it if they didn't believe the government was serious about it. Though decision by the government to come in the future, I think it's just posturing to say, look, we're not fully committed in the sense that we're not on the hook for $100 billion. That's all it means. It doesn't mean we're not building it. It just means we are giving ourselves the leeway to make a decision based on the actual final business case and development plans are being presented.
So I think
Anyway.
we're going to leave it at that.
Yeah,
And,
whole other episode by itself.
And I can hear down the tunnel.
Yeah, the doors are closing.
The doors are closing.
So I think we had a great conversation there. It was fun to reflect on the REM, talk about Alto, the high-speed rail project that hopefully becomes a reality in Canada and transforms the way that we commute through the corridor and hopefully spurs new development for crossing Canada as well.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
High-speed rail from Toronto to Vancouver, sure. Phase 2 of Alto.
Well,
I think if I was to wrap up this experience in a sentence or two, I'd say that it was great. It's such a great experience to ride the REM, and so from a passenger point of view, it is great for Montrealers. But at the same time, for Canada, it's also great because it shows that transit projects like this are worth it, and that it proves the statement that if you build it, they will come.
Yeah,
exactly.
Great way to end it.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, thank you again, Duncan, for joining us. David, as always.
A bit later than usual, but it was fun.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
And stay tuned tomorrow. We're going to have a new video. David has a new video coming out, the cinematic look at the REM Deux-Montagnes. It's dropping tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I think a few of us have already seen it, and it's really gets you interested in experiencing it yourself.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Well, thanks again, everyone. And we're going to end it there. And thank you all for joining us for Rail Fans RailChat number 12. Have a good evening.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.